The big takeaway for us is that you have a game like that. You have a coach who's on the hot seat already going into it. There were already question marks about, this boiling up. And for the most part, I think it had been the Leafs are going to be patient. Everyone should be cool. It's only 20 games in. They're missing Marner. They are just trying out their new backup goaltender. There's a lot of roster turnover. Let's be a little patient with this thing. Let's see how it plays out. And even we said that I would say that our show has been a little bit less patient with Babcock over the years. That, okay, he gets this road trip. After that performance, I was very curious to see what the Leafs did next because it really did feel like a coach-killing game and one that maybe that he didn't come back from. And the thing I'll say, and this is where I want to ask you this question, is like, I get that he's getting a lot of heat right now. I don't really know properly how much heat he should be getting because there's a lot of problems with this team. And the way that I see it is that this is a complete thing where there's a lot of people who are owed blame for the way that the Leafs have started the year.
And it starts with the players, obviously.
And
Right.
while Babcock is front and center because he is the guy that you can move off most easily, you are someone who's worked as a systems analyst. Your job has been able to evaluate what teams do. When you look at the Leafs right now, how much of this do you think is Mike Babcock and his system? Because I keep hearing that over and over again on Twitter, is that it's the system, it's the D-zone coverages. And I'll be honest, I can't evaluate that properly, especially without seeing the entire ice and like watching it. It's just, how much are you seeing is on Babcock right now?
Well, first off, I want to say I also see that a lot, that the way he coaches the systems, whatever. And I always want to say to those people, what do you mean?
Yeah, I know. I want that too, but I don't have the time to reply to everything.
What do you mean when you say that it's the system? What's wrong with the system that you're seeing? The problem may be that, maybe the personnel doesn't match system. Here's where I've been. It hasn't been Babcock. It hasn't been the system. They have been injured and they have been new and they need to be patient and all that stuff that people are so sick of hearing, particularly in the wake of a weekend like that. Be patient, be patient, be patient. I am now at the point, and I believe that Dubas and the rest of them would be too, where that was enough for me. That's enough. That doesn't mean that now you just go fire Babcock. That means I've gone from let's just ride this out to I've changed my mindset a little bit. Like, okay, Babs is now, we need to watch him because it looked like the team didn't care, wasn't motivated. I don't think it's the systems. I do think it's mostly players and effort and all those things. But that's also coaching to some extent. It's keeping the guys motivated.
And we can't, there's no number for that, right? And this show, I think most people who evaluate sports and analyze sports, you want to have some evidence, right? Like you want something to point to. You want some bedrock of your opinion that you can point to and be like, this isn't just, hey man, I test stuff. But you can't do that with that. Right. And it doesn't mean it's not, it's nothing. It's something. In this sport in particular, so much of it is hard to evaluate.
Yeah.
But how much import do you put on that? And like the trickle down effect of changing the coach, really, there's a whole bunch of questions that build off of that. But don't you need to, we talked about this off the top of the show too, to evaluate this team properly? Don't you need to remove that equation at least to get rid of that excuse and say like, okay, that's gone. What do we really have here?
With the coaching, remove that.
Yeah.
This is like a rare situation where Babcock's, an NHL coaching contract, even though money doesn't matter to the Leafs, it might matter. That might buy him some time, that he's got 2.5 years, a lot of money. They made a big bet on a big name. If you're Kyle Dubas and the first NHL coach you fire is Mike Babcock, that's not nothing. That's a thing that's, a part of your legacy.
I think that's more of it than the money because someone hires Babcock and that eats up a bunch of the money that MLSE has to pay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so much that. It's just I do think that there is some protection built into Babs here because of who Babs is. Someone asked me this morning here at Sportsnet, they said, do you think that the team plays better under Sheldon Keefe? Like if Keefe becomes the coach tomorrow? I do. I honestly do. But at the same time, that doesn't mean I think they should make the move. I think that they can still play very well under Babcock. I still think that a lot of it comes with like kind of a snowball effect. Like everything is going negatively. And right now they had a day off in Las Vegas. And I know Nylander put on his Instagram stories, him and Kapanen on the golf course. Like, what do you think they're saying about their coach on the golf course in the wake of underperforming expectations this badly? Like, it's not good things, but I do believe if they're winning, they wouldn't say anything about them at all. You tend to assign the credit to yourself at that point.
I think it's time. I really do. And I think that Saturday night was time.
I think it's probably in Dubas's mind. He's probably now thinking about it. He's having the conversation.
To be honest, I really believe that I agree with you that at this point, it can't get worse. So try something new, inject a shot in the arm. And the biggest benefit of bringing in Sheldon Keefe to me is not that he's going to have the different systems or again, these are such weird.
They would play very similarly systems wise.
That's the
Sheldon's
whole
been
point.
coaching Babs' systems for 5, 6, 7 years, whatever.
It's the same with the G League. It's the same with the AHL. Is what do you try to do? You replicate the system so that guys come up and they still feel comfortable with it. Like, duh.
Yeah, Sheldon's not playing a 4-1-4 check. He's playing a 1-2-2.
I think that the reason why you do this is twofold. One is you genuinely need to inject something different in the room. And I think that there is something to be said about
change for the sake of change.
Yep. So I think there is something to be said about tune-out factor and a fresh voice and someone who comes in and starts telling you things.
We're 25% of the way into a season where the team has been a mess roster-wise.
It's been too bad. It's not like they've struggled and they've had some bad bounces and they've done some things. It's just like it's been too awful. It's the exact low of the low that you would use to invoke the firing clause. The second thing is that I do want the players to be accountable now. That's my biggest issue with this. And it's
how do you hold this team accountable?
You don't when Babcock's still the coach. And that's what's the impossible thing about this is I don't know how much of an anchor he is. I think at this point, he's not helping. He's not helping the situation. If you're not helping, you're off the team. And that's just the way it is. You had your shot. You were brought in to be this big money coach.
A lot of guys wouldn't like to hear that.
I'm sorry, but for him, it's just that this team had to perform this year for you to keep your job. And now, the penalty kill is horrible. The power play is terrible. The team has lifeless efforts far too often. You've fallen behind 17 times despite your main message being start on time. It's over for you. It's done. We've gone too far.